Hello and welcome, bookworms. Welcome to this week's episode of The Content Narrative. We are looking at Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. Yeah, Mandel. And this is another Folio Society. So the previous week's Folio Society I'd bought for myself because I had a birthday voucher, so I decided to buy it for myself. And this one, my beloved husband got for me. And it was such a good narrative, and it was so enjoyable to read. And essentially what happens is there's this bug. It's almost like The Stand. And this bug sort of like kills so many people. And it's just like, it's one of those where it's like you survive the bug or you don't survive the bug. And Station 11 is the name of a comic that our main girl Kirsten is reading throughout the book. And it's one that she was gifted by this actor. And he was sort of like, he's the first one to, well, he dies, but we don't know if he's the first one. You know, it's just, it happens that night. And she's part of this traveling performers, and they go around the different villages in what was America, and they go round and they perform Shakespeare, and you know, they just bring a bit of life and joy and everything. And you also have, and this is the thing, is it was very reminiscent. It gave me very much The Stand vibes from King, because it also had as well, it had like a preacher that appears in this little village that they'd visited before, and they've come back through, and they're like, something's not right with you. I don't trust you 100%. But what I love about it is like the stories that the way that the story was told wasn't about. A lot of it wasn't about the preacher. It was just showing a little bit of him, you know, of what it's like with some people when they get in control. But what I loved about the story, what I loved about the way that it was told, is you had the before. So you had the people that, you know, remembered what happened before civilization fell. Then you had kids that were born and were being told, you know, these planes would fly, and they'd be like, what on earth are you talking about? And it was really interesting to kind of see these people like rebuilding a life and a civilization, but in the way that they wanted it to be. And I thought it was really, really sweet. And honestly, the characters were really great. They had enough of a backstory to feel like you connected with them, but I didn't feel like there was loads of world building, which I really enjoy. And because obviously it was set in sort of like America, in like the 21st century, you already know where you stand with everything. And it was really interesting because like one of the characters, he has a friend that works in healthcare, and the guy who works in healthcare was like, oh, by the way, something shit's going down. Like, we've got so many patients at the minute, something's going down. Get off the street, get somewhere safe. And then he then goes to this supermarket just before he goes to his disabled brother, and he just buys and spends all his money on like supplies and everything, and then they hole up in the flat for ages. And it's stuff like that where it's like, what I loved is you had the before, you had the sort of like 5 years after or whatever, when, you know, in fact further than that, it was like 20 years, it was quite some time after. But then you get hints of like what happened between the beginning of the decline of the civilization as they know it and the rebuilding of the civilization as they wanted it to be. And I loved that. I loved the traveling circus, you know, and when there were deaths in the book, because there will be deaths in the book, it's an apocalyptic book. But when there's deaths in the book, I was kind of like, I was heartbroken, but you know, I felt like they helped with the story instead of just being there for the sake of being there. I will say, and I say this to my husband all the time, I'm like, if I'm going to survive in a post-apocalyptic world, in a world where civilization has ended, it needs to be something like this, where a virus goes around, and we're very well aware nowadays, especially with viruses that are going around, but with a virus that goes around, and you either survive it or you don't. Done. And then what's left is the land is healthy, the animals are healthy, and you've basically just, then you can build up and you can decide. Because I'm not about a zombie apocalypse, I'm not about a nuclear apocalypse, I'm not about that. If I'm having to fight for my survival every damn day, I'm going to take myself out straight away. And I mean, to be fair, I would love to know, because as readers, we're supposed to be like, oh yeah, you know, we'll do this, we'll do that. But as readers and as avid, you know, like thoroughly enjoy a good book, leave below in the comments if you think you'd be the kind of person that would want to survive in a zombie apocalypse or a nuclear apocalypse or in a virus apocalypse where it's literally the virus is there and it's gone. I'm not talking like the Last of Us kind of virus or mushroom or whatever. I'm talking like proper like you die or you don't. So let me know below in the comments if you're one of those people that think that they would really fight for their survival. If you're one of those people that go, do you know what? I had a good run and let it go. But anyway, thank you so much for your continued support. With this, obviously, I'll leave in the comment, like I always do, where to buy it from Folio Society, but also leave a link to something that's not going to be quite as pricey, because I know that Folio Society can be a little bit expensive for people. And if you're not sure if you're going to like the book, I can understand why you wouldn't buy it. But leave below in the comments. Obviously, let me know if you are reading, if you are enjoying it. And thank you so much for your continued support, guys. It really means the world to me. And remember to always keep it content.